you look at, as you said, the men's 4x2 for the US. It's the first time in Olympic history that the men from the US have not medaled in the 4x2 freestyle relay. The first time it's ever happened. And gosh, we were talking about a lot of things behind the scenes in terms of that. The fact that there was huge conjecture in the US and on the NBC coverage as to why Dressel didn't swim that 4x2. Whose choice was it that he didn't swim? Was it his choice that he didn't swim, knowing that the 100 free final was the next morning? Was it American, that they didn't think that he was going to be strong enough over that 200 distance? Was it the fact that, there were lots of different things at play? And then in stark contrast, we see Kyle Chalmers swimming the 4x2 and loving being part of that men's 4x2 and really helping that team to the bronze medal in that race. And then coming down.
Did it cost him, Gian? Did it cost him?
I was just about
Kyle
to say, what did he miss by? 0.06?
Yeah,
Dressel beat him by 0.06.
Well, not only did he swim them, guys, he swam the heats as well, which we don't often see. He swam the heats of, I think, nearly all the relays he was in.
No, Kyle, he swam the heats of the 4x100 early. He didn't do the heats of the 4x200. But
they
he did the heats of the mixed. He did the heats of the mixed relay. But I think going back to Caleb Dressel, I think he hadn't won an individual race yet. So my feeling is that the US coaches held him back.
They chose an individual. It was an individual.
Yeah, it was line
relay.
Ball. Yeah, the US were probably not going to beat Great Britain in that relay. They didn't have enough sort of star power. But I would refuse to believe that if Caleb Dressel got offered the relay swim, that he would say no. I think the coaches would have had to make the decision exactly the same as the Kyle Chalmers or any other these big sort of arrogant sprinters. They want to race for the team and for their mates. And my feeling is that if Dressel got offered the spot, he would have competed. So I don't think he got offered the spot.
Yep, I think you're right. And back to your other question, did it cost Kyle? There was a few things in that final that just didn't go Kyle's way. I would have loved to have seen the difference of if Dressel had swum that 200 the night before, just how that impacted his performance. The morning before. And I also would have loved to have seen what would have happened if Kyle was the other side of Dressel in that final and was breathing to his right, coming down that last leg. We know Kyle. That's where he shines. He's an absolute warrior. He is the greatest racer. So in terms of if he was within a sniff and could see Dressel, I reckon the result would have been different. And, it's hard for Kyle, I think, who is still very tactical. He knows how to best race his races, but emotion almost takes over. You back him with 5 meters to go to get his hand on the wall first, if he could have seen where Dressel was. So flying a little bit blind in that final, I think there's a few things that the cards didn't quite fall Kyle's way. And but hats off to him in the way that he spoke in that post-race interview, the athlete that he has become over the last 5 years since he surprised us all in Rio. I just could not like the guy more and could not be more excited to see what this does for him going forward.
Well, the reason he was down in lane 7 probably goes back to the fact that he had 100 freestyle semi-final as the first event of the morning, and he had a relay where he had to go max to put Australia in a medal winning position at the end of the morning. So I think he took the semi-final a little bit easy. He did a slow time. He only qualified 6th fastest. Rather than going, this is all I've got today, I can go max. It's not really going to hurt me. I've got 24 hours before the final and I'll be in the middle of the pool. But I'm the same as you. Like, we rarely, with 25 to go, with 15 meters to go, I think everybody in Australia thought Kyle Chalmers was going to win, because we never see him not win from that position if he's that close with just 15 meters or less to go. So I actually rewatched that race a couple of times, especially the last 50 meters going into the finish. And Kyle, what he normally does, he breathes every second stroke, and he's got this big, powerful kick, and he powered into the finish. Obviously, he was breathing away from Dressel. But watching Caleb Dressel, we've seen him put his head down at the end of his races and no breath into the finish. This time, he actually did 16 freestyle strokes, no breath, into the finish. He started that at exactly 15 meters out from the wall. Yeah, I went back to some of the other World Championship races, and he normally only does 12 or 13 strokes, no breath, which is incredible. Most people can't do 5 or 6 strokes without breathing into the finish. So he normally does 12 or 13. This time he did 16 strokes, no breath, which is insane. Kyle breathed every 2, and Kyle actually breathed twice under the flags. He breathed on his second last stroke into the touch. And what was the difference? 6/100ths of a second. So I think Dressel dug down and did something even more incredible than he normally does on that finish. And he really needed to use every ounce of energy and power in his body on that finish to get the margin by a couple of 100ths. So that was interesting. That's something that not many people are really talking about in Australia.